Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Gland Bodybuilding, Mountain. And today I'm going to talk to you about an exercise that I very rarely do, but I've been doing lately just for fun, because that's what I do. How did I do that? Oh, okay. Okay. I pressed up and then, well, that was kind of cool. Looks like somebody's been using my exercise stick. Right? Sometimes I'll experiment with things because sometimes your body does need to move in certain ways. Maybe ways that you haven't moved in a long time, you know, or maybe you're lifting weight in a different way than you usually do. And as much as I'm on board with finding the right technique for you, sometimes you can get locked into a one-dimensional thinking where moving in a certain way is wrong as opposed to what you've been doing already. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm going to say is sometimes using lightweight with more creative type movements can be very positive when it comes down to rehabilitation. And we know a lot of rehabilitation coaches out there that basically take the joint through different types of ranges of motion or do different things with it. So that said, there's an exercise that I've mostly spoken negatively about called the front raise when it comes down to training shoulders. Now, I've always had pretty strong front delts, and I've relied mostly on my pressing to give me front delt development. But there is something to be said in the front raise when it comes down to just activating the bicep along with the shoulder at the same time to establish some sort of harmony when it comes down to how both these muscles function, especially when the bicep is lengthened a little bit. Now, the one thing that I do differently than maybe you've seen with a lot of people is a lot of people pronate and they face the palms to the floor as they do this. I find this jams my shoulders a little bit. So I've found that the workaround for this for myself is to keep the thumbs up. But basically point the thumbs towards the ceiling. And when I'm doing this, it's more like a natural movement for me. It seems like it doesn't jam the shoulder. It allows a freer movement. Now, I would recommend, if you're going to do this sort of exercise, I would recommend doing it light first and foremost, and also keeping a slight bend in the elbow because, like I said, the bicep needs to be ready for this. And if it's locked out, or if the elbow is locked out, you might have some sort of tendon issues with the bicep that you might have to contend with. So you don't want any sort of issues whenever you're doing an exercise, first and foremost, regardless of how positive the exercise might be. But what I found is just by keeping a slight bend in the elbows and using super lightweight, like a weight that I can do 50 reps with or so, and just alternating arms, I find that I get a good burn, but I also unexpectedly am getting a lot of neck involvement, a little bit of upper chest involvement, along with the bicep and the front delt. So it seems to be completing this chain of muscles as they work together in some way. So it allows for just a different way to hit certain areas that you might not necessarily be getting in your other exercises. So it's not necessarily just a front delt movement. I mean, of course, this also depends on your individual situation, right? Because of my individual shoulder situation, such as a dislocation and stuff, there's also going to be a little bit more involvement from maybe muscles that you don't notice if you have a really healthy, intact labrum. So that's also something else to consider. But for me, I find it's a great finishing type movement after I've done my chest workout or my delt workout. And it's just somewhere to get a nice burn through the entire shoulder, along with a little bit of the trap, a little bit of the upper chest, and also the bicep. So it's just one of those things where I find it's just good to pump blood flow in new creative ways in certain areas, and you might get some unexpected benefits, such as rehabilitation of a clicking sort of sensation or an issue of some sort, right? Now, of course, a lot of people will say the front delt is overpowered already. It's overworked. You need to work on the rotator cuff and the rear muscles in order to compensate for all the front movements. And I would agree with this. You know, I wouldn't say the front raise is a replacement for any rotator cuff work and so forth. But like I said, I haven't done this movement in a long time, so it's probably a good thing for me to do it because it's something I haven't done. And that's the other thing. Sometimes when you haven't done something for a long period of time, it might be a place where you get some unexpected results, or perhaps it helps you activate a certain area that you've been out of touch with for a period of time because of maybe injuries or maybe just not doing that type of movement for a long period of time. And so, yeah, sometimes a front raise might actually help your bench press. Who knows, right? So yeah, this is something I'm just experimenting with right now. And Yeah, this is just a simple workaround. If you are noticing that the front raise jams your shoulder, just turn the thumbs up and you may notice that you get a freer movement and maybe a good pump from it. Mountain. So yeah, I hope this helps you out in your training. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturallandbodybuilding.com, and thanks to the Patreon supporters, and take care for now.